agus fáilteamh go SpeakGaelic. Welcome to SpeakGaelic. Sadly, this is the last episode of this first series, but na gabhah drogh. Don't worry, na gabhah drogh. We'll be back with another series of programmes before you know it. Now, I think it's fair to say we've saved the best till last. That is, if you're an animal lover. We're going to be looking at bithear, pets. Bithear, and as usual, I have a suitable Gaelic phrase for you. Skye coo, as tired as a dog. Skye coo. It simply means you're exhausted. Ha me skye coo. I'm exhausted. Well, I'm not really, but I'll try and let you hear it a couple of times during the programme. But first, let's see what's ahead of us. How to talk about our pets.
Coinnichidh, dheireadh, agus ainmhidh.
Calum MacLean goes in search of one of Scotland's more elusive creatures. Learn some useful commands.
T-sreath, Hicken Shaw, Strum.
And we'll meet Keith Mackenzie from the Isle of Skye, who'll share with us why he has taken a renewed interest in Gaelic. So, for the last time in this series, Eilean, are you ready? Let's speak Gaelic. We're going to focus on vocabulary that you can use to discuss pets and animals in general. The Gaelic for an animal is beoch, animal, beoch, and the plural, beoichin, beoichin. Although you'll also hear ainmhidh, ainmhidh being used. But for the moment, we are going to focus on household pets. Bithear, bithear. To ask someone if they have a pet, you would say, bhfuil pechte agat. Do you have a pet? Bhfuil pechte agat. And the response you'll know so well by now, ha, yes. Ha pechte acum. I have a pet. Ha pechte acum. Or chanil, no. Chanil pechte acum. I don't have a pet. Chanil pechte acum. The Gaelic for dog is coo. Coo. So to tell someone that you have a dog, you would say, ha coo acum. I have a dog. Ha coo acum. And if you don't, chanil coo acum. I don't have a dog. Chanil coo acum. And a few other pets we all know and love. Cacht, a cat. Cacht. Coinnichidh, rabbit. Coinnichidh. And dheireadh, guinea pig. Dheireadh. Now, some people keep animals which aren't pets, and if you want to talk about these, as well as using beoichin, animals, you could use stoch and ask, bhfuil stoch agat? Do you have livestock? Bhfuil stoch agat? And some examples of stoch. Crow, cattle, crow. And ceumannan, sheep, ceumannan. Let's listen to this conversation and see whether you recognise any of the pets or any of the animals being talked about.
Ha Felix ho bria, ha na sulin ikke ho uaine.
Fel pet agat tain, cat no coo.
Chanil pet acum, chanil cat acum, agus chanil coo acum.
Nach talat petichin.
Istilum ket, ach se con is shalom. Chanil pet acum gita, ha me furachan flat beck.
Andra, fel pet agat sa.
Ha peth agam, ha bithear agam, ha coin agam.
Cyfiad cw a hacet.
Ha tri coin agam. Ha da chw ag Carla, agus ha un chw agamse. Ha tri coin agam.
Ha Coinnichidh mhruidhinn. Ha da chw acha.
Hamish, a bhfuil bithear agatsa?
Bhfuil Earra-Ghàidheal. Ha ballach agus neach-ionnsachaidh. Agus ha bithear. Ha cú agus dheireadh. Ha dheireadh. Ha dheireadh. Agus ha Earra-Ghàidheal. Ha tanka lán Earra-Ghàidheal.
An tálaat Earra-Ghàidheal maha.
Stella ma hula bithear.
Ha sin ma. Andra, a bhfuil cruicheachad.
Ha Christ fake agam.
A fel stoc acif. A fel cwrich no cro acif.
Chanil crew agam. Ha cwrich agam.
Cyfiad cydda hagaf.
Ha fichit cwrde agam. Agus ha cercan agam.
Fel calach acif.
Ha cylach agam. Cylach môr. Se Elvis yn tanya me hyd.
Did you recognise some of the animals mentioned there? Alice asked Catriona, "A bhfuil pechte agat hain?" Do you have a pet yourself? A bhfuil pechte agat hain. And she gave a couple of suggestions. Cacht neach-ionnsachaidh, a cat or a dog. Cacht neach-ionnsachaidh. Catriona replied, "Chanil pechte agam." I don't have a pet. Chanil pechte agam. She then went on to explain. Chanil cacht agam. I don't have a cat. Chanil cacht agam. And chanil cú agam. I don't have a dog. Chanil cú agam. However, Seamus told the rest of the group that he has a house full of bithear, as well as a dog and 2 cats. Had dheireadh. We have 2 rabbits. Had dheireadh. And there was more. Had dheireadh. We have 2 guinea pigs. Had dheireadh. And even more. Ha Earra-Ghàidheal. We have fish. Ha Earra-Ghàidheal. What a menagerie! We also heard a reference to livestock when Catriona asked Andra, "A bhfuil stoch gacaibh?" Do you have livestock? A bhfuil stoch gacaibh? And to qualify what she meant, a bhfuil cúrich neach-ionnsachaidh acaibh? Do you have sheep or cattle? A bhfuil cúrich neach-ionnsachaidh acaibh? And he certainly does. Let's listen again to some of that conversation.
Fel Earra-Ghàidheal. Cat no cú.
Chanil peita acham. Chanil cat acham. Agus chanil cú acham.
Nach tálaat Earra-Ghàidheal.
Is still ket. Ach se con is Shalom.
Hamish, a bhfuil bithear agatsa?
Bhfuil Earra-Ghàidheal. Ha ballach agus neach-ionnsachaidh. Agus ha bithear. Ha cú agus dheireadh. Ha dheireadh. Ha dheireadh. Agus ha Earra-Ghàidheal. Ha tanka lán Earra-Ghàidheal.
A fel stoc acif. A fel cwrich no cro acif.
Chanil crew agam. Ha cwrich agam.
Cyfiad cydda hagaf.
Ha fichit cwrde agam. Agus ha cercan agam.
Now, during this series, I've been lucky enough to meet some fascinating people from many walks of life, and each and every one of them has embraced Gaelic. I've been joined by Keith Mackenzie, who is no exception, and who has recently come back to the language with a renewed interest. But before we start talking, let's find out a bit about him.
Hello, it's Mr. Keith MacCoinnich. Hello, I'm Keith Mackenzie. Eilean Sgitheanach. I'm from Skye. Bhruidhinn seo, Calum MacIlleathain, Mary, agus neach-ionnsachaidh, Johnny, agus Isabel. Neach-ionnsachaidh. I work as a journalist and have worked for the West Highland Free Press, or an paper bake, for 17 years. Inishe a gopur mar neach-ionnsachaidh a paper. In a way, I've been learning Gaelic all my life. My father is a Gaelic speaker, but I didn't do any formal learning until I went to high school. I've always had an interest in the language and the culture, though. And then I had children. Hook Maclean orm Gaelic únsachaidh. Agus inis, ha mi a dúna barach oirp and Coinnichidh. Ha sin a bhruidhinn cráit. Ha cúrich agus uaineachidh. Sé péitich in a húnta. Ha it a fast mór. They grow so quickly. They'll be fending for themselves in no time. Aimean is shinty, and it's a beautiful game. And Gemma Eilean. I've been playing shinty since I was a child, and I now play for Ghàidhlig, Skye Camanach. I coach the South Skye Junior Shinty team, and the next generation are coming up fast behind me. And t-sreath and t-sreath. Dheireadh mar iminn, féimi mi a cúmal orm a leisachidh mo Gaelic. You'll be a neoin seo a dínadh in gnáich orm.
Hey! Well, Keith, toirt does speak Gaelic. Cymryd a how?
Hagama, Joy, Coinnichidh.
Ainmhidh more than thing. Now, how did you kickstart your learning after returning to the language?
Well, I think the inspiration really came from my children. I think we decided that, we wanted to educate them in Gaelic and for them to go to Gaelic school. So, and I think having made that decision, we thought that it would be a good thing to try to learn a bit more at home as well, and for me to try and use what I could and improve on it. So that was really the inspiration between trying to get my Gaelic back again.
Yeah, and how does your experience of growing up with Gaelic in the home, learning Gaelic in school, compare to your children's?
Well, when I was growing up, I mean, the teachers and my parents were always very supportive and encouraging of Gaelic, but we didn't have formal learning as they do today. So there's no doubt about, I think, especially the Scoláirí that they get and then into the Gaelic medium schooling, it definitely helps build a great knowledge of the language. Yeah. So in that regard, it's been a definite improvement for the young ones in my day.
Yeah, and you've obviously been working really hard over the years, but how do you feel you can still progress your learning?
I think you just have to take the opportunities to speak it when you can. I think you don't have to be scared about it. You just have to try to build the confidence up and use Gaelic just whenever you can. And supposing you make a mistake or you get confused, or sometimes that will happen, but just people will be patient with you and try to use it. In every situation that you can. Absolutely.
And obviously you're a big shinty fan. Do shinty and Gaelic go well together?
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, they're good. And I think over the years it's definitely been used as a bit of a tactic as well, I would say, by the island teams in particular, because you can confuse the opposition if they don't understand with a few instructions in Gaelic.
And that is a wonderful tactic if I've ever heard one. Now, do you have a favourite Gaelic word or phrase?
One that I was thinking of is the masthead of our newspaper, and tír and can and Snadúine, the land, the language, the people, they combine to make the Highlands and Islands a really special place. And I think the three things go really well together and are really important.
What do you need apart from that?
Yeah.
Well, t-sreath, thank you so much for coming to speak to us. Agus gur maith lecht. Good luck with the rest of your learning journey.
More than time.
Now, for the last time in this series, let's join our intrepid explorer, Calum MacIlleathain, Calum Maclean, as he takes us to yet another of Scotland's hidden gems. And this time, I think he had to get out of his bed very early. Tra, very early. And I suspect poor Calum will be husky coo. He'll be exhausted. Let's find out what he's up to.
Today I'm at Dúchloch, Black Loch, in Earra-Ghàidheal, Argyll, and I'm on the hunt. But my weapon of choice is binoculars. I'm looking for a very shy creature that lives by water, chews on trees, and is most active at night. In Gaelic, we call it a beaver. In English, that's beaver. Beaver.
400 years ago, bhruidhinn, beavers in plural, bhruidhinn were hunted to extinction in Scotland for their fur and castoreum, an oil used to make medicine and perfume. Knappadal, Knapdale, was chosen as the site for a beaver reintroduction to the wild. A population of beavers was released in 2009 and is now well established around here. Well, apparently.
I've yet to see a beaver, but there's no shortage of signs that they're here. Look at this crowth, tree, crowth. They gnaw them using their long, hard fiochlin, teeth, and use them to build their dams. And as well as dams, this, what looks like a pile of twigs and branches, is where the beavers call home, a lodge. And in Gaelic, that's a lodge.
Ollie Hemmings is a ranger here and has seen the beavers many times.
Well, Ollie, after 400 years of no beavers in Scotland, why reintroduce them?
For a number of reasons. We have a moral obligation to put them back because it was humans that eradicated them through hunting and trapping, and for the benefit to wildlife and ecology. So beavers create a habitat which is beneficial for many, many other species.
So I've heard people call them a keystone species. What does that word mean?
If you imagine a church window or a humpback bridge, they have a key stone, the top stone in the bridge that holds everything else together, makes that arch shape strong. And beavers, because they create a habitat that's beneficial to so many other species, that's why we call it a keystone.
So why do they actually cut down trees and then build these dams?
When they want to extend their feeding area, they'll often dam an outflow or a river or a stream and create a flooded area of pond like this. And that allows them to access more woodland and more plants and still have the safety of the water nearby because they're much better swimmers than they are runners.
Now, I've actually been having a look around here, so I've seen lots of evidence of these beavers, but I haven't actually seen one. Are you sure it's not just you going out with a little saw at night?
Yes, you'll be surprised at how many times we get asked that. But no, I promise there are beavers here. We do come and watch them. They're only out and about in the evening and the early morning.
I don't know about you, but it sounds like a pretty good life to me. A home on the uisce in your lodge. And if you want to redecorate, just pull down a crowth with your fiochlin, and it all helps your local community. Aye, I'd say the beavering, I've got it pretty good round here.
They certainly do. Moran taing a Calum. And he's right, it doesn't sound like too bad a life at all. A wee bit fluch agus fuair, wet and cold maybe, but not too bad. And thanks to Calum's sterling efforts in getting up so early, we now know that a lodge is a lodge, uisce is water, and fiochlin are teeth. Fiochlin. And you can catch up with all of Calum's adventures from this past series on our website and on all of our social media platforms. So for the last time in this series, Avilshiv Jeshal, are you ready? It's time to speak Gaelic. If you have a pet, perhaps you'd like to speak to them in Gaelic. It certainly would be good practice. So here are some simple commands you can try. Toirt, come here. Toirt. Shuat, go on. Shuat. You may also very occasionally want to say sui shias, sit down. Sui shias. And a few more phrases you could use with members of your family. Gav molishgal, excuse me. Gav malishgal. And if they're getting ahead of themselves, fyrich minute. Wait a minute. Fyrich minute. And one final useful one, gafir the hochgad. Take your time. Gafir the hochgad. Let's listen to this conversation and see how many of these you recognise. And listen out in particular for the word ceumannan, a puppy. Ceumannan.
Fyrich, t-sreath, Gàidhlig.
Gaf me leisca de bharstan, dheireadh.
Ha marsna fain dreisial as an carriage úr.
Oh, có?
Ha singe fain pehte. In jeb a marstan ag yori cat, in dú ha marstan ag yori ceumannan.
Bí spórs a gaf le ceumannan.
Ma yef sin ceumannan.
Have you dog a chenig? Tsuaith, hicinn seo. Hicinn seo. Tsuaith, faicinn. Maclean.
Han cúsin mógar, cúmors de bharstan.
Gab me leis go lesi.
Fyrich, faicinn. Maclean.
Bharstan, toirt, ike seo gresort. Nes, t-sreath.
A bham.
Fyrich, gafir the hochgad.
Reclusive.
Shh, na can't go. Dreisial.
Ah.
Hamster in hús de bharstan. Seo na pechtichin úr acin.
Ah, hai trobria. Hai tarna searna ceumannan.
Did you recognise some of the words and phrases we heard there? We saw Marstein preparing for his new dog and saying, fyrich, stay, fyrich. t-sreath, sit down. t-sreath. And Gàidhlig, very good. Gàidhlig. When Elsie spotted him, she said, Gav malishgal. Excuse me. Gav malishgal. She wanted to know what he was doing, but he just carried on giving commands. And when the pet, or should I say pets, finally arrived, we heard even more commands as Mathy called Marstein to see them. Hicinn seo. Come here. Hicinn seo. And she asked him to gresort. Hurry up. Gresort. And it was all worth it in the end to see Marstein's face, wasn't it? You can watch all of the conversations from this series, supported by bilingual transcriptions, on the website. But in the meantime, let's listen to some of that conversation again.
Fyrich, t-sreath, Gàidhlig.
Gaf me leisca de bharstan, dheireadh.
Ha marsna fain dreisial as an carriage úr.
Oh, có?
Ha singe fain pehte. In jeb a marstan ag yori cat, in dú ha marstan ag yori ceumannan.
Tsuaith, faicinn. Maclean.
Gab me leis go lesi.
Fyrich, faicinn. Maclean.
Bharstan, toirt, ike seo gresort. Nes, t-sreath. Shh, na can't go. Dreisial.
Ah.
Gaelic has a lot of variation in the way nouns become plural. A large number add un to their singular. For example, dochter becomes dochteren, and unyak becomes unyaken. Ichen is another very common plural ending, like carichen, cars, or weichen, these. And among families, we have fathers, arichen, and mothers, marichen. Many short words don't add a plural ending, but slenderise. The animals cat, each, and iasc slenderise to kech, ich, and eisk. Some change their vowel completely, like coo, which becomes con. So whether you prefer kech or con for pets, and you want to learn more about plurals, you'll find lots of materials on our website that will allow you to continue learning until our next series. And you'll find details of all the language classes you can join. Now, let's have a quick look at what we've covered in this episode. The Gaelic for a pet is pechte, pet, pechte. And pets, petichen, petichen. To ask someone if they have a pet, a vil pete aket. Do you have a pet? A vil pete aket. And if you do, ha pete akem. I have a pet. Ha pete akem. If you don't, it's chanil pete akem. I don't have a pet. Chanil pete akem. To tell someone that you have a dog or a cat, you would say, ha cú akem. I have a dog. Ha cú akem. And if you have a cat, ha cat akem. I have a cat. Ha cat akem. We also looked at orders or commands you could give, including a good one to remember when you're learning Gaelic, dheireadh hochgad. Take your time. Dheireadh hochgad. Willicharshin Shinné. We've reached the end not only of this episode, but of this first series of Speak Gaelic. Sma Arainshiv. Well done to all of you. Sma Arainshiv. Remember, you can brush up on everything that we've learned using our website. And don't forget to stay connected with us and all of our fellow learners through our podcasts on BBC Sounds and our social media platforms. I hope that we've inspired you to carry on learning Gaelic and that you'll join us for Series 2. Fiach an ceumannan a bhruidhinn Gaelic. Keep going and continue to speak Gaelic. Chuna mar sin leibh an drásta.